Hey YouTube, it's Taki with TaqiTech. So today in episode 3 we're going to look at what I've inherited here. Unfortunately for me, it's actually code that I wrote myself. So it's not going to be as bad as it could have been if I would have inherited it from someone else. So I'm bringing up the Visual Basic editor here. And we'll take a look here just real quick at the modules. There's a lot of modules here. We have the original code that I wrote way back in the beginning of 2016 here. This isn't going to help me out a lot. I think I refactored most of this here. There's a lot of duplication. This is what they call procedural code, and basically what that means is you start with your first instruction and you just keep on going and going and going. And I did have some functions here. I'm not sure if I was using them correctly or not, but they were there. And it worked. And it still works to this day because this program is currently being run on this type of code. And there's nothing really wrong with it other than there's more efficient ways to do it. There's better ways to write it so that it makes sense for somebody that has to come in after you and fix it. And even if it's yourself. Because as you'll see here, let me go here first. So this is what I thought was the main method, and it's not. Basically, let's go back here to the spreadsheet real quick. When I hit this Get Schedule button, it does not go to this method. So what I'm thinking here is this might have been what I was working on back in October, just because I didn't take enough time to figure out what I was inheriting, or I'm not sure what I did back in October. It was kind of sandwiched between two other projects. One project kind of came out of nowhere, and I needed to switch focus on that. And then I said, okay, you know what? I've been doing all these projects in 2017 and I have nothing to show for it. So let me start writing some YouTube code. I had a little bit of downtime. Let me write some code and throw it on YouTube and do some live coding and things like that. And that's the result of this, which you've seen so far. So what that button is pointed to is this method here called new SS. And you can see here that there are functions, or more subroutines would be a better term, because it's most likely not, this isn't returning anything. Otherwise I would have it go into a variable. And we have a happy path here. And we have a lot of different, I'm not really sure how all this fits together. And I think it will be more clear once I dive into the project and start coding. And first I'll look for it and see what is actually there and how it kind of works, and then take those methods that either rewrite them or just basically reuse them. Interestingly enough, I really went overboard here with the modules. I have a clear module here, but this is there's only two subroutines in there. I'm not sure what I was thinking. I do think we'll need a calculate module, and I'll take a look. I think a lot of the math that I'm going to need is going to be right here. So I think a lot of that is done. I did have a breaks and a tasks module. I also had a module called today, which I'm not sure what the use is and what it exactly does. Actually, now I'm looking at it, I think that's just going to tell me what this part right here. I think that's only for that. I could have probably named that or put a note there that would have made it a little bit more understandable. And then I have a print. Okay, I could see having a print module because printing is a big part of this, because we're either printing code here, in here, of course. This is the main part that's going to be where there's going to be a lot of code that's printed, and right here, possibly even here. So I could see there being a submodule for that, or a module for that with its own subroutines and things like that. I had one called globals, and we'll talk about this probably in the next episode. The difference between a global and a public variable, if there is a difference. And there's a slight difference, and we'll talk about that in the next module. I had air handling module. Well, I think most of these are going to be handled, and this should just show you how far I was in the project, how much of it was done, and it's kind of like a Rubik's Cube. So especially when a project is complex, because all you have to do is do a few moves and it's broken, and it's kind of like it becomes very hard for you to try to figure out, okay, where did it exactly break, and what do I do to fix it, especially if it's been more than a week or two since you last worked on it. And here we're talking about a few months. So that's what's here. It's going to be interesting how much of this old code I'm going to use, what modules I'll get rid of, and how I'm going to actually work on that. So that's going to bring this episode to a close. The next episode we'll talk about the difference between global and public variables in VBA. It's going to be a real quick episode, and then we're going to finally jump into writing some code. So thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.